As far as the lockdown is concerned, frankly, I think it's a reasonable guess to assume that that India actually had the most severe and the most stringent lockdown. Going in fact for 2 months, there was I think the world press also picked it up. The misery that lockdown caused, but that is behind us. And now, as the pickup is happening, the economy is picking up, but only gradually. All I can say is there are decades when nothing happens, and then there are weeks when decades happen. And I tell you, the past few weeks has been exactly that. You asked about how much digitization was going on. Yes, we were down that path. Every year we had more technology in our lives, in our banking lives, if you like, than we had the previous year. But like they say, necessity is the mother of all invention. And once the lockdown was in place, it suddenly picked up speed, the digitization speed, and how, especially more so on the payments side. We saw that for, I don't know what it would be in Europe or in the United States, but in the Indian context, in the month of October, we had 2 billion transactions on the payment side, which is a doubling up from what it was in April. So that's how digitization came into being. And as far as lending is concerned, personal finance, whether it was eKYC, which frankly could have happened 2 years ago. But we'll get there. And finally, there was no choice. They had to get there. So we have eKYC. We have so much information, so much documentation now, moving over the online as opposed to physically. A stark example of which I'd like to share is when you make a home loan. Obviously, a valuation takes place. The valuer is disinclined to enter someone else's house to make a valuation report. The owner of the house is also equally disinclined to let an unknown person into his home. So here we go. The banks devise alternative methods of actually doing a physical valuation without entering the property of the intending borrower. And this is something which could have happened earlier, but it didn't. But like they say, cometh the hour and cometh the man. So so this happened, and now we see tech adoption is now much more than what it was earlier. And will it be reversed? Was your question? Frankly, I think we will go back once we have the vaccine. We will go back to a more hybrid world. We'll never go back to what we were earlier, but we won't stay in the digital bubble either. We're all human beings. We like to connect. We like to compete. We like to emote. And frankly, in a very basic way, we all like to make more money. So if there are 50 people meeting, discussing things, what's happening, discussing opportunities, the chances of making, of getting ahead are much more than, for instance, a virtual connect. So yes, some of it will probably go back to the old world, but there will be a hybrid world going forward. As far that is generally speaking. Talking about ourselves at MyMoneyMantra, similarly, we could have made our data lake. We have actually 55 million customers on our data lake is sitting on AWS at the moment. And we could have had much more artificial intelligence, much more machine learning than we currently have. And we would have gotten there maybe 2 years later. But again, the lockdown forced us to get here where we are. And we remodeled our operations. We've actually come back in October to our highest ever monthly revenue life to date, believe it or not. But this wouldn't have happened without having actually used the machine learning, used the data analytics that we did. So we are actually a microcosm which reflects, the macro picture altogether. And we are no different from what's happening in the world. So that's what I think is going to happen.